Hey, it's Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile. Now, I was looking for fun ways to tell you that Mint's offer of unlimited premium wireless for $15 a month is back. So I thought it would be fun if we made $15 bills. But it turns out that's very illegal. So there goes my big idea for the commercial. Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month plan, equivalent to $15 per month required. New customer offer for first 3 months only. Speed slow after 35 gigabytes if network's busy. Taxes and fees extra. See mintmobile.com.
The McDonald's Snack Wrap is back. You brought it back. Ranch Snack Wrap. Spicy Snack Wrap. You broke the internet for a snack. Snack Wrap is back. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
Unfiltered discussions. Unexpected guests. No topic is off limits. From sex and relationships to the human condition, personal anxieties, and so much more. The only talk show of its kind in the world. This is The Last Show with David Cooper.
Hello and welcome. Here's what you'll learn on tonight's program. We'll get nerdy as we cover the top stories from the tech industry, including this: your use of AI search, like when you put something into Google and it just kind of gives you an answer without directing you to a web page, is causing a massive drop in search clicks. Which is to say, ask Google a question and instead of going to a primary news source, you just sort of accept its AI-generated answer. It's a convenient feature. I use it myself. But this whole structure I just described is causing a massive shift in the internet. Those primary sources that your answers are generated from aren't getting search clicks. And with no search clicks comes no ad revenue. With no ad revenue, primary sources shut down. That's right, the very thing that hopes to make the internet more easy to use might make the internet be of less quality. We'll teach you how this is all working and what can be done about it in about 10 minutes' time. After that, a viral app. It's women only, and it's for them to post about creepy dudes they're dating, like if they have a secret family or something. The internet's equal parts upset and excited about this app, and we'll tell you about it halfway through the hour. Okay, let's jump in.
Want to be part of The Last Show with David Cooper? Call us and join the conversation. 1-888-505-6644.
And in the wild, strange, illicit world of toucan smuggling news, it's bird news here with foreign correspondent Tony Five. Tony and I have cornered the market on strange bird-related news and reporting. We're doing great in this department. By all metrics, we are the best show that does bird-specific content, Tony.
David, it's getting to the point now where I believe we need a specific jingle for our bird-related updates. It's ridiculous now. It's amazing. And now, toucans, I guess, David, you were a little bit inaccurate with the title. It was 14 toucans, which is technically 22.
Why was I inaccurate? I said toucan smuggling. Toucan smuggling can include 14 smuggled toucans.
But 14 toucans are, like I said, 20. I don't really understand where you're getting that from. But anyway, David, relay me the story and I will tell you all the wonderful facts about this feathered felony.
All right. So this guy who I think lives in kind of part-time in Southern California and Tijuana in Mexico.
Love it. Love Mexico. Love toucan.
He's driving from his part-time residence in Tijuana with his Volkswagen Passat.
The most grey car possible. Yeah, that's the car you drive where you do not want to be detected by the police. They're almost invisible, right?
It's a very sensible automobile.
Yeah.
I used to own, before I moved to New York, I used to own a Golf, and that was like the best car I've ever had. It was a great car.
Yeah.
Just so sensible, just the right size, just the right amount of storage, just the right amount of trim inside. Like, it was nice inside, but it wasn't excessive. It was in a somewhat affordable car. Like, it was just good on fuel. By every measure, the Golf was great. And a Passat is what? Just like a sedan version of the Golf?
A bigger version of that. But I would say, if not one of, it's definitely in the top 3 most popular cars in the world, the Golf. Anyway, we sidetracked from the feathers. Go back.
All right, he's in Tijuana. He's driving his very sensible, as we just learned. We're not going to mention that again. Passat, great car. Sort of similar to the Golf, got to say. Loved my Golf.
We're trying to get sponsorship by Volkswagen
we are.
if possible. Carry on, David.
Do you remember when Volkswagen like inserted some cheating device into their car?
Yeah, the Dieselgate.
The diesel, yeah, that was wild.
Dieselgate.
Everyone's like, wow, how do you make a diesel engine that doesn't have any emissions? And Volkswagen's like, look at our great car, but they just cheated on the test. And then like,
exactly.
And there's billions of dollars in fines. And okay, we're back on track. We're definitely not getting sidetracked here. This toucan smuggler, okay, he's in his Passat. Into the dash of his car, he inserts 14 illegal toucans. Now, you're really flying close to the sun there, Icarus, with 14 birds. Why not just smuggle one bird, you know? These toucans are illegal to own.
And toucans aren't small, yeah? Toucans aren't small. They're big-billed birds, David.
They're actually the size of toucans, and that's how they got their name, probably.
Yeah.
Anyway, he's got 14 of them. These birds are endangered. They are illegal to own. But if you can get them into the U.S., people will buy them for up to $5,000 a bird. So what's 14 times 5? That's
correct, David.
What is that, 12? That's 16?
That's a lot, David. To be fair, if you calculate it properly, you're looking at sine over tangent, at least 100,000 US dollars.
Yeah, probably 10 million or something. Anyway, $5,000 a bird, 14 birds. Customs pulls him over.
Yep.
Find the birds.
Yep.
He's now facing serious time.
Wait. Found the birds with a dog who probably thought it was the greatest day ever. It was like a drug smuggler's dog. And he just managed to find these toucans. He was like sniffing away thinking, okay, bad day, cocaine, heroin. No, toucans.
It is a good day for the dog. The man has been released on bond. He's not allowed to go back to Mexico. What does this toucan smuggling network out of Tijuana look like? That's what I want to really dig into here.
I don't know, but I guess it's quite high flying. You know, it's a high flying smuggling scene. What do you think?
Touche. Well done.
No, thank you very much. I mean, the serious side of the news is importing these birds you can get bird flu, right? So it can like cause severe problems, you know. In the order of it, it's quite high on the pecking order.
It is quite high on the pecking order of crimes. Anyway, guy's released on bond.
I mean, it's no joke, David.
He also drugged the birds to get him to calm down, like so he could stuff them in his dashboard or something, which seems mean.
Also, quite predatory. he's like roofied the birds.
Yeah, he certainly has. All right, the birds are being quarantined right now. They're going to be surrendered to authorities.
Yep.
And this guy is facing a maximum penalty of 20 years in prison. 20 years for 14 birds.
David, that's certainly ruffled feathers there, David. Certainly ruffled feathers.
I hate you so much.
Can you tell? I'm on a really pun vibe today, and I don't know why I'm on a pun vibe. I love it.
It's both irritating and entertaining at the same time, Tony.
Irritating to you, entertaining to the listeners. We hope so. We hope it's that demographic.
All right. And in men getting arrested for driving under the influence on strange vehicle news, we want to go to Florida because, of course, we're going to Florida, where a man, fairly standard, gets pulled over by state troopers, by the cops, for a DUI. He's driving erratically on a toll road, nonetheless.
Yep.
Police describe his behavior as he has small pupils, flushed skin, dry mouth. He had irritation on his nose. He repeatedly cleared his throat. He sniffed. He spit. He refused to perform sobriety exercises. That's when the cops ask you to walk in a straight line to prove you're not drunk. He gets arrested. Now, this sounds like a fairly standard story.
Correct, David. And I don't there was a little bit of conflict. I didn't want to bring up this story because the whole Florida man trope, and we get these memes that they're all insane. But do you know what vehicle this man was driving on said road?
Well, I'm going to say I don't to forward the narrative here because I'm a very competent broadcaster, but I do know, and it is hilarious. And what kind of vehicle was he on?
A ride-on lawnmower, baby.
Who's on the freeway, on the highway, on a lawnmower, drunk?
Obviously, this man.
I'm trying to think, should that be a crime? And I guess yes. But it should be a lesser offense. It should be driving under the influence while on a hilarious slow vehicle. And it should be 70% the crime of full driving under the influence.
I mean, obviously he got DUI, driving under the influence. But, I mean, is there a DUI on a lawnmower? Because, I mean, that is a fantastic charge to go down for. We always say, what's it like to do hard time for these crimes, right? So you're in San Fernando Pen and you go in and there's all these gangbangers and all that. And then he goes, what have you done? Well, I was driving a lawnmower on the motorway.
I'm driving a lawnmower drunk. I feel like if I was a hardened criminal and someone was sharing a cell with me and they got busted for driving a lawnmower drunk, I would like them. I would think that was very funny. That's like a fun crime.
Well, you'd be safe. He's not going to sort of stab you in the night, is he?
On the one hand, you could cause like a pileup on the road and kill people. So I guess it's not a great crime from that angle. But from the lawnmower angle, it's a fun one.
Depends. At least they didn't publish the lawnmower's name.
At least they didn't. Tony 5, thank you.
Always a pleasure, my friend. Take care. Good luck. And good luck on all who ride on you.
After the break, what happens when Google does too good a job summarizing search results? So much so, you don't need to go to any websites. Those websites lose search clicks, ad revenue, and might actually shut down. This could change the internet. Details in a moment.
Want to be part of the last show with David Cooper? Call us and join the conversation. 1-888-505-6644.
The spirit of innovation is deeply ingrained in America, and Google is helping Americans innovate in ways both big and small. From improving emergency response times to protecting against cyber attacks, local, state, and federal governments are innovating with Google AI. This is a new era of American innovation. Find out more at g.co/American Innovation.
The human algorithm, where emotional inputs create unexpected outputs. The last show with David Cooper.
It is time for Technology Time with Carmi Levy. A lot of people use AI chatbots to kind of search the web in the sense that they ask it questions that they normally would have just Googled the answer for. But that changes the fundamental economics of the whole internet. Carmi, what a topic. Welcome in.
Good to be with you, David. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, the way that websites, news sites, any site that you would read to gather information makes money is in displaying ads. But if people aren't going to those sites because the data has been ingested by ChatGPT and regurgitated back at you, those clicks don't happen. And when those clicks don't happen, money isn't made. This is actually going to very subtly change the web over the next few years.
Oh, yeah. And I would, humbly suggest not just subtly, but none too subtly. I mean, this is basically rewriting the rules by which the economics of the internet work. You search for something on Google, it spits back a list of links. You click on those links and that drives traffic back to those websites. Google then serves up ads next to those links and makes money from that if you click on those, or even if they're displayed.
And the websites themselves sell you ads, and that's how they make money.
Exactly. Exactly. And they can't show you an ad if you don't show up there in the first place. And so if you're seeing Google, of course, over the last couple of years, they've introduced something called AI overviews that when you search for something, instead of just giving you links, above the links, it actually shows an AI generated summary as if you would have asked a chatbot that question. But of course, you read that summary, then you don't have to click on those links. You don't have to visit those websites. All that traffic disappears. Those ads don't get displayed or clicked on. Nobody makes money. And so we're seeing some research from the Pew Research Center that verifies that validates it. And we suspected that was going to be a problem. Now they've actually put numbers to it. They're saying that searches that have AI summaries attached to them, they take traffic away, more traffic away from websites than searches that don't have AI summaries attached to them. And in fact, if you do a search that generates, because not every search generates an AI overview, it's usually only the ones that are when you ask Google a question or when you use lots of words in your search query, then it's more likely to generate an AI overview. But if it includes an AI overview, you are only 8%. Only 8% of all searches will result in a click-through, whereas without an AI overview, it is almost double that, 15%. So the numbers don't lie, and it means that the fundamental way that we interact with these tools is changing. And the irony is that Google is introducing this change, and it's the one that seems to be losing the most from it.
That, and of course, like people use ChatGPT. Like, I'm not going to search the internet on a topic if I can just ask a chatbot about it. We're getting good answers. We're getting answers quicker. These tools are great for the consumer, but at the end of the day, these AI summaries are based off of primary sources. And if the primary sources aren't getting those clicks, those primary sources are losing money. And eventually newspapers and stuff where AI summaries would generate like high quality summaries for you, those sources may not exist if they aren't getting this revenue. The internet is going to change. And I mean, we've talked about this before. I don't want to get too deep and too nerdy, but there's something called dead internet theory, which is that the internet is going to be filled with so much AI slop eventually, it's kind of going to be unusable. And the funny thing about it is, in the meantime, it's becoming more usable because when I get an AI summary of what I search for, it's actually helpful information. But eventually, the whole process by which that helpful information is gathered is going to make the helpful information go away. It's kind of scary when you think about it.
It kind of is, because as we get deeper into the AI era, the amount of AI, well, and I'm glad you used the term AI slop, because in many cases it is exactly that. It's low quality information. Right now, the first generations, or the first few generations of large language models have largely been trained on legitimate data. So from news sources, from things that people wrote, published, created, shot, with video or audio. Whereas as time goes on, as more AI slop spreads online, that's what's going to be training future versions of these chatbots. And so they'll essentially be feeding on garbage information, which will reduce the quality of what you see in an AI overview or an AI generated summary. And so, Wikipedia is already wrestling with this. Reddit is wrestling with this. AI generated content that is reducing the quality of what we're seeing. That is going to affect how AI tools perform in future, and not for the better. So you put it all together and you're like, how's all this going to get paid for? How is quality going to be maintained? How are sources that generate sort of first person data crafted by humans, how are they going to survive? How do they keep the lights on if Google isn't driving traffic and ad revenue in their direction? That's kind of frightening. And essentially it means a new model needs to be crafted. But right now we don't necessarily know what that model is going to look like.
And if these websites can't keep the lights on, the input for these large language models is going to get worse and worse. There's a saying, it's like an old saying in computing, but it applies to large language models, chatbots: garbage in, garbage out. Or I suppose the British say rubbish in, rubbish out. It's essentially, if Google's AI summary is trained on garbage, it's going to give you garbage. And if the very act of giving you these summaries means the internet makes less money, websites giving you good information on the internet make less money, they're going to eventually be trained on worse and worse sources. I don't know that this will come to pass, but it's kind of alarming. I assume some change will happen in the near future that will guarantee sources are good. And I mean, I'm not such a pessimist that I think the internet's going to be total garbage in 10 years, but it's kind of the direction we're going in.
It is, and I we're kind of in that in between period where the old model, based on search and ads, is starting to ebb, starting to slip into the rear view, and the new model is starting to be figured out, but we're not quite there yet. It's very much an in between limbo like stage, and that's kind of a frightening place to be, because we know we're rushing toward the horizon at accelerating speed. We just don't know what's going to be like when we get there. But this is what technology does. Technology disrupts itself. It disrupts what's already there, and it destroys things, and then it creates something new. And so AI is going to be no exception to that. I fully believe that at some point the industry will figure out the quality issue, that AI generated content will get better, that the hallucination problems, the lying, the going rogue, that those will be addressed as well. And then sort of this training on garbage data, the garbage in, garbage out, will be, maybe not eliminated, but it'll be less of an issue than it is today. But again, these are huge engineering challenges, and they will not be resolved overnight. So for a little while, we're going to have to live with that uncertainty.
Let's talk about a research paper that looks at the safety of AI. These researchers found that AI, even with guardrails, is not safe. Walk me through what else we have to worry about here.
Yeah, so this comes to us from a kind of it's a joint project from it's an AI safety research group called Truthful AI, and they partnered up with the Anthropic Fellows Program. Of course, Anthropic is the AI company that brings us the Claude large language model, and they were looking into sort of why does artificial intelligence generate questionable or frightening results? Why does it suggest that we sell drugs, murder our spouses in their sleep? Why does it suggest we eliminate humanity or, eat glue as a solution? And so what they did was they kind of dug into to kind of understand why it in fact generates those kinds of challenging responses in the first place. And they found that they call it subliminal learning. One large language model is picking up quirks or biases from how it was trained on other large language models. And so even if it's not related, when it's trained on synthetic data, which we're seeing more and more of, we just talked about it, we are seeing it more likely to go off the rails, more likely to say something that is really contentious, more likely to put you in a dangerous situation because it essentially loses its moral compass. And so part of me was really scared when I saw this because I said, oh my God, now it's validating the behaviors that we've been worried about all along. But then I flipped it on its ear. And the reality is this has been happening all along. We just didn't know why. These were black boxes, right? The algorithms that drive large language models were not fully understood. We knew that they hallucinated. We didn't understand why. This helps us start to understand what is driving it and gives us a little bit more knowledge than we would have had previously.
It's time for Technology Time. We'll continue with Carmi Levy when we come back. Ring cameras. You might be surprised with whom your videos are being shared. Could be the cops. I'm David Cooper. This is The Last Show, and we'll be back.
This episode is brought to you by State Farm. Knowing you could be saving money for the things you really want, like that dream house or ride, is a great feeling. That's why the State Farm Personal Price Plan can help you save when you choose to bundle home and auto. Bundling, just another way to save with the Personal Price Plan. Prices are based on rating plans that vary by state. Coverage options are selected by the customer. Availability, amount of discounts and savings, and eligibility vary by state.
We work hard to strike the right amount of intelligence and ignorance. The Last Show with David Cooper.
Your Ring doorbell camera. Where are those videos being shared? Are they just being shared with you, or can authorities access them to monitor the streets in front of your house? And is that a good thing or a bad thing? It's time for Technology Time with Carmi Levy, and that is what we'll discuss. Carmi, welcome back.
Good to be back. I'm going to have to keep my eyes open when I walk through my neighborhood. Lots of my neighbors have Ring cameras too.
I personally hate smart home anything. With one exception, I use smart plugs so I can turn the lamp in my living room on with my phone.
Yeah, those are awesome.
But even that, I'm like, okay, I'm letting a company in my private home network. Are those devices open to the internet? Can they be hacked? Even that I have, but I'm uncomfortable with. But I don't have Alexa. I don't have Siri. I don't have cameras. I don't have doorbell cameras. I don't have heat sensors. I don't have a smart thermostat. I like dumb everything. Maybe that's just me, but I worry about privacy concerns. Like if I were to put a doorbell cam in front of my house, would the cops be able to access it without my permission? That's the question.
Oh, you're not going to like the answer to that question, David, because, and full disclosure, I have a Ring doorbell on my house because our old doorbell died and it was the cheapest solution. But I worry about now that, I've got footage coming in from on the front of my house and I worry about where it goes. And Ring as a company has gotten into trouble for privacy related transgressions in the past. It was a couple of years ago, it was busted for sharing data, imagery data with police forces without without the express consent of people who own these doorbells. So you buy a Ring doorbell, you'd be using it, and unbeknownst to you, they were sharing it in the background with police forces. Same deal. Employees were accessing footage also without letting customers know, and also in violation of the terms of use statements that you signed when you first bought it. So this is a company that, and then eventually they just decided to stop sharing with police entirely. You can still deliberately upload your footage to your local police department if you want, but Ring wouldn't be doing it on your behalf. Well, now they've had a bit of a change of heart. They've partnered with Axon. They're the company that brings us the taser and body cams that law enforcement and emergency services officials wear, and they're partnering with them to reinstate their digital evidence management solution, which essentially allows police forces to request footage from the Ring platform if they're, say, investigating a crime in your neighborhood. And look, I want the cops to catch the bad guys just as much as the next guy, but how they get a hold of the footage from my house, that should be up to me, not up to anyone else, certainly not up to Ring. And if you read sort of deeply into the documentation, it's pretty clear that they've got very significant powers to share what they want without asking you up front.
We've heard horror story cases of like cops running plates on X's, they can access databases without justifying it and get personal information about their friends and family. I'm not saying all cops are doing this, but it's happened. You'd like to think that they would need to have like a public justification for accessing a doorbell cam, but what if some unscrupulous cop, like their ex-girlfriend lives across from me and they want to spy on them using the Ring cam? Will there be an audit trail? Will there be any consequences? Will they even be able to do that? These are open questions that I don't know that we have answers to. My worry is abuse and how is it going to be prevented? And is it going to be prevented?
Yeah, the potential is definitely there for internal abuses, and I'm not seeing as much assurances within these announcements to allow me to sleep at night. Right? It's still too easy for an insider, maybe a rogue cop, maybe someone who works for Ring, maybe someone who works for one of their partner companies, a marketing company that happens to gain access to the imagery database, that they could access the content and do what they wish with it. And so those protections are not in place, at least not to a level that I would be comfortable with. And I think the industry needs to figure it out. And quite frankly, I think you need to have better laws on the books to require companies like Ring to behave in ways that protect all their customers' privacy in all scenarios. And that just isn't the case right now. So, they're making these partnerships and they're essentially leaving all of us, to hang out to dry. It sort of then begs the question, how badly do you want to have smart devices in your home, knowing full well that the companies that bring them to you are, this, sort of flagrant in their violation of personal privacy, or the fact that they aren't willing to put those protections in place? That's a conversation we still need to have.
Which goes back to my original point. I like having a dumb home. I don't want Siri listening to me. I don't want smart cameras. I don't want a smart thermostat. I like using old technology. For me, it wasn't broken. Mm-hmm. That's where I'm at. But I understand others need to monitor whatever, their baby, their dog. I understand why people get these devices, but they're not for me.
And I think it's reasonable to reject them, and it's reasonable to ask those questions. And I think before any of us buys any smart device, we have to do that. Weigh the potential advantages versus those risks. Is the utility of that tool or that device, that smart device, worth it? If I'm going to expose the data in the process, do I really want to have someone who I don't know accessing that information? Does the end justify the means? And in a lot of cases, we're just buying smart devices without having that conversation with ourselves, and that needs to change. We really need to be a lot more critical about deciding when we should have something smart versus something dumb. And in many cases, it might be wise to just stick with the dumb device.
It's smart to be dumb is something no one's ever said, but maybe works in this context.
Yeah, put it on my epitaph.
Let's go to this last story here. We often talk about ransomware when hackers take over computer systems, block out the owners of those systems, and then hold them hostage for cryptocurrency, trying to extort them, maybe selling the data on the dark web, things like this. But we don't hear about the impact. And I want to go to the UK, to a company that's 158 years old. That has fallen the victim of ransomware, and people have lost their jobs. Ransomware basically took down this entire company. What happened?
So yeah, I think 700 employees. It was a trucking company, KNP, 500 trucks driving back and forth across the UK, and hackers managed to bust into their computer system by guessing a single employee's password.
Wow.
Now, how they guessed it, not sure. It could have been a default password like password or 1234556. That's a good one. Or it could have been the employee might have posted some incriminating information on social media, which the criminals then harvested and used to guess the employee's password, or use the same password on multiple systems, and then somewhere else there was a security breach, and then they just busted in using that knowledge. And once they were in that account, they encrypted all the data, locked their systems, put up a ransomware notice, and said, "Pay us a whole lot of money." And the estimate is about £5 million, or about 9 million or so Canadian dollars. And the company didn't have the money. They decided not to pay it. And within fairly short order, they were out of business. 700 people lost their jobs. This is a heartbreaking story of sort of the soft underbelly of technology isn't technology. It's the training of your people. And clearly, at least one employee was not trained to the degree they probably should have been. And they allowed this to happen, and it brought an entire company down. This singular case should be an example to everyone else, because it could happen to you.
Is cybersecurity insurance, like insurance against ransomware and hacking, is that a product that companies can buy? If not, we should, get a bank to loan us billions of dollars and offer this, because I feel like in the modern world, like, companies should be taking out insurance against attacks like this.
It is an offering. A number of insurance companies do offer cyber insurance, and specifically against ransomware. But in many cases, as you know, when you try to make a claim, they will often push accountability back on the organization. If they didn't train their people properly, they might deny the claim. And this is clearly a case where training did not go as far as it could. So yeah, you can buy it. Will they actually pay you if you suffer a loss? That's a whole other question.
Carmi Levy, technology expert. What a pleasure it was having you on the show. Carmi, thank you so much.
Appreciate being with you. Thanks, David.
Coming up next, an app that lets women share photos of men they're dating to ask, has anyone got the tea on this guy? Does he have a secret family? Is he a cheater? After the break, we're diving into the viral women-only safety app, sparking both praise and backlash. And it opens a whole lot of legal questions.
Want to be part of the last show with David Cooper? Call us and join the conversation. 1-888-505-6644.
Pro Savings Days doorbuster deals are on at Lowe's. My Lowe's Pro Rewards members save an additional $120 on a GE 21.9 cubic foot top freezer refrigerator. Plus, members save $70 on a Bosch hammer drill, now only $99. Not a Pro Rewards member? Join for free today. Lowe's, we help, you save. Valid through 7/23 while supplies last. Selection varies by location. Loyalty program subject to terms and conditions. See Lowes.com/terms for details. Subject to change.
Broadcasting intimate details and useless information from an undisclosed location in New York City. The Last Show with David Cooper.
Dude, step aside. You're not allowed to spill the tea. What the heck am I talking about? A new viral women-only dating app that has just 1 million downloads is generating controversy. Let's find out what that is with pop culture enthusiast and co-host of the Jan Arden podcast, Caitlin Green. Caitlin, my goodness, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. I'm so happy to be here talking about the tea.
This reminds me of an app that I wish I'd done my homework before I started talking to you today, where if you had a company email address,
yeah,
I think this app is still around, you could log into a secret company social network for you and your coworkers to gossip. And you could talk you-know-what about your employer privately with your coworkers anonymously. This app is that for women to talk about the men they date. I love it.
Yes. Yeah. I understand it. I think it's a great idea because so many women know this. Like, there are already Facebook groups that are sort of designed in this way. And I bet you these Facebook groups were the inspiration for the app, because there's a Facebook group. I think there's one here in Toronto that has over 100,000 members, called something to the effect of, "Are we dating the same guy?" And it's because so many men wind up running double, triple lives where they have multiple girlfriends and partners, maybe one of them is a wife. And so people upload info about the person they're dating if they suspect them of cheating or having an outside relationship. And they frequently do connect with each other and find out that, yes, they are in fact dating the same guy. So
you can't cheat anymore. Gone are the days when you could just go out and have 7 different families. Easy peasy. Never get caught unless someone talks to the other wife in the other town using a telegraph. Now everything's digitized. You can't cheat in today's modern world. For the record, I'm not complaining about that.
Yeah, it's an objective truth. Although maybe that has been replaced with the number of profiles you see on dating sites that label themselves as ENM, which is for ethical non-monogamy. I mean, you could just do that. That's the thing. Apparently, there are a lot of people who are down to be in an open relationship. If you want to do that, then go ahead and do that, and just make sure you're doing it openly so that everyone can agree to the same terms that they're entering into a relationship about. And I think that's part of the whole version of the tea. And it's because there are so many women who get catfished. So the guy who started this app, actually, he did so because his mom had been catfished online on a dating app. And so
what a great origin story.
it is. Yeah, he said his mom got catfished online. And so there's over 1 million downloads of this app now so far. And I think it's the #1 lifestyle app in the App Store. It's wildly successful. It just came out, and it's just a way for women to share information that could actually really protect them and their safety. But of course, men don't like this.
No, why would they? At best, they don't care. And at worst, it's calling them out for their bad behavior. So someone like me who's got a stable girlfriend and would never cheat. And I'm not complaining that I can't cheat anymore in a modern world. That wasn't what I was doing. But I'm just saying, for most of us, we just don't care. Like, great, it's an app that you can chat about the creepers you're dating. How does it affect me? So at best, men aren't caring. But at worst, they are the very creepers this app is trying to prevent from dating.
Exactly. And they're claiming that they're like, this is just going to devolve into women saying personal stuff about us. This should exist for men too. Men should be able to share information about women. And I just return to the fact that, like, women don't, in large statistical numbers, abuse and kill men. So, like, our concerns about our safety are very logical and statistically supported. It's apples to oranges. You can't really compare the two. You can't say what applies to you applies to us. It's a totally different set of risks. And so, yeah, they have this. They have you can do a reverse image search using this app, and they have a catfish finder AI. And that was like, obviously the way that this all started was because this poor guy watched his mom get catfished. But they also use phone number lookups to help verify if someone has a hidden marriage or any concerning history with their phone number. So the background checks, you can go through their public records, sex offender maps, criminal history, all of this stuff. It's not like women are out here sharing, like, uploading photos of, their partner's and saying it doesn't work properly.
I mean, if someone would do that for me, I would be so flattered. But this is the sad truth. And maybe the reason I hate the app, not because it's calling out creepers, is because I know if I looked on there, there would be no profile for me. And, the only bad press is no press. And so I just feel excluded.
This is a rare case, though, where if you looked someone up and there was nothing on them on this app, it would be fantastic. Like, this is the whole thing. If your information isn't on here and you've done nothing wrong, then I don't think you should be so upset about it. I think you're in good company here with all the men who also aren't on this app.
It just seems, I'm trying to remember the name of that app. Blind, that's what it was called. And that was the app where people in the workplace could say horrible things about their employer and their coworkers. I just think they're going to get sued. And I just don't know how long this can last. The idea of a private gossip website that excludes one group to gossip about them, I think it's going to get taken down. And when it's men you're talking about, I just feel like a bunch of creeps are going to bind together and take this platform down eventually.
Oh, for sure. But if that in and of itself isn't a selling feature of the app and a condemnation of them and their argument, then, like, I don't know what is. I bet you the search history of any man who has an issue with this app is a little bit sketchy. It's like, and if you go on, like, so there's obviously a place that you don't want to go to too often, but there is a forum, a thread on Reddit called Men's Rights.
Oh boy.
They are not happy.
Men, we need more rights. We don't have enough rights. Like, what is the logic? Anyway, this is a group of men who misogyny is like the thing of the day day. It's not a great forum that we should be advertising for, but hey, regardless, they're upset is what you're saying.
They're the most loudly, like, kind of upset people about this, which again, I think is a ringing stamp of endorsement for the purposes of the app itself. And one of the arguments I'm seeing made, though, all the time is that, I should have access to this same type of information about the women I'm dating. They want to know about their STD history, which, fair enough, you could just ask the person you were going to be intimate with for their STD test. And I don't think that would be a crazy thing to do. But they also said body count, as in how many partners they've had. And I was like, the fact that you've already gone to a place of sexual judgment as a man means that you're missing the whole point of this app. It's not to talk about how many people you've hooked up with. It's to figure out if you have a police record or if you're catfishing someone.
Can we just discuss this phrase body count? The first time I heard that phrase was like a horrible military term where it's like, oh, during a conflict, this is how many people I've killed. Now it's being used to say how many people you've slept with. It's such gross language for that.
It is. It is depraved. It is. And it has been sort of like urban dictionaried into meaning this, when it very much would be usually referred to like a serial killer or someone who's in the military.
Yeah.
But I think younger men, at least on these Reddit forums, do seem to fixate on that a lot. I don't know why. It really gets them up in arms. So yeah, they are mad about that. And they would like a world in which someone could design an app where every person they go on a date with has like a little number beside them so they can figure out how many partners they've had, apparently.
I know like the government has a file on me probably for every time I applied for a passport or every time I got a driver's license. And I can file what's called a Freedom of Information Act. At least that's what it's called in the US. I think it's the same thing in Canada. I can file that and get a file. I feel like I should be able to Freedom of Information Act T and get my file, at least to know what's on there. I think that's the fear, right? It's the not knowing.
Yeah, that is fair, because I think if your information was going to be uploaded by, multiple people, then you would want to be able to see it. Actually, so I do think that would be a fair adjustment. You should be able to request what information about you is being shared on there and really to fact check it, because it would derail the whole purpose of the app if women were going on here to just lie about the men that they were with. The idea, again, initially, I think is actually quite altruistic, which is to prevent women from being catfished for money or potentially put into physical harm's way because they end up in a relationship with someone who is maybe abusive or, God forbid, has a secret family.
Oh, the secret family. That's always the classic. I feel like you can't do that these days with doorbell cams and social media apps. You just gone are the days of the secret family. I just think it's a dying thing from the past, and apps like T are just going to make things worse for those out there who love both our families equally. And if only they found out about each other, it would ruin everyone's lives. But yeah, I don't know that I'm mourning this.
You can't even bring your mistress to a Coldplay concert anymore.
Well, that's what I want to talk about after the break, because the more I see this thing getting like passed around in meme culture, the more I'm starting to feel bad. And we'll discuss an update from the astronomer. Still unclear what that company does, but I do know they're one of the most popular tech companies right now that nobody knows what they sell. We'll discuss that with Caitlin Green. Check out Caitlin on the Jan Arden podcast. It is, what do we call this thing? Pop culture like fungus. That's a good name for a segment on the radio. My goodness, we'll be back.
Want to be part of the last show with David Cooper? Call us and join the conversation. 1-888-505-6644.
This episode is brought to you by Greenlight. Get this. Adults with financial literacy skills have 82% more wealth than those who don't. From swimming lessons to piano classes, us parents invest in so many things to enrich our kids' lives. But are we investing in their future financial success? With Greenlight, you can teach your kids financial literacy skills like earning, saving, and investing. And this investment costs less than that after-school treat. Start prioritizing their financial education and future today with a risk-free trial at greenlight.com/Spotify. Greenlight.com/Spotify.
The last show with David Cooper. Procrastinate your life away with us.
You innocently take the head of HR of your company to a Coldplay concert. You've got a wife and kids back home. You make out with the woman, the kiss cam comes, you drop to the floor, and you're now canceled. That is the story of, the last 10 days. If you haven't heard it, then I admire you, but everyone has. Caitlin Green is here. She co-hosts the Jan Arden podcast. She's I don't even know what you are. Media personality, pop culture enthusiast.
Yeah.
Reality TV historian.
Those three things.
You got lots of titles.
I do.
This thing, we discussed it last week. It's fun, kind of. But I want to bring up something called righteous indignation. And that's basically like when somebody's wronged you, it can justify any response, even if the response itself is wrong. Like if your girlfriend cheats on you, you can make a big post about it on social media and ruin their lives. If somebody steals from you, you can just escalate things and you're justified in doing so because they stole from you. I feel like this is like righteous public shaming. This guy, this CEO, what he did was objectively wrong. And so any and all public jokes about it are okay now. And as I see videos of like these major sporting events, I saw a sporting event the other day where they had a kiss cam. They were playing the Coldplay music and they'd zoom into couples. And then every couple at the sporting event, one of them dropped to the floor, which is what the astronomical CEO did. I'm great at English and remembering things. I don't know. I'm starting to feel bad. I'm like, this guy's got a wife. She didn't ask for this. He's got kids. He's got a family. Like, he just cheated. Everyone cheats, Caitlin.
It's because of the life cycle of the story. And so I think this is a classic case of you get a few days of heavy media saturation out of becoming the main character of the internet. But after that, some people are going to feel like this guy's being picked on. And I think that crossover is very natural and healthy. And this story being a perfect storm of everything that will go viral ever in life. I mean, you rarely ever catch someone behaving so embarrassingly, doing something that, wraps together kind of like sex and embarrassment, and they're cheating, they're behaving badly. And Chris Martin calls it out. Chris Martin of Coldplay calls it out at a Coldplay concert, and you get it on a Jumbotron. I mean,
it's everything.
It's everything.
It's got everything. No, it's amazing. It's the best thing that's ever happened in the world.
It's objectively, it was engineered by like Russian scientists to take our attention. Like this is designed for that. And it just happened on its own. And so I understand why everyone is obsessed with it.
Sure.
But you're making a great point that, some people are going to start to feel bad for everyone who's involved in this and the collateral damage of their lives. A lot of other people I'm seeing on social media now are pointing out that we should be paying attention to more important things. An argument that happens whenever people start to get tired of an objectively dumb story, which this is. This is gossip, it's salaciousness, it's all of that stuff. But I don't know, there is something about it where because the two of them were just so brazen about it, like your arms wrapped around each other in public at a concert, I just found it so hard to feel sorry for them. Now, I do feel sorry for his wife specifically. That would stink. And I hope she gets a bag of cash out of this somehow. But beyond that, I think it should make her at least feel a little better that the entire internet's on her side.
Fair enough, but I just think it's so simple to view cheating as black and white, right and wrong, whereas anyone who's been like through a divorce or had their family ripped apart by cheating or have had friends who've cheated in their friends groups, cheating is like every shade of gray. I'm just like, I don't know, dude. What he did's not illegal. It's unethical. It's wrong. He's a piece of you-know-what. But like this guy's life, at least for the next few months, is done. And by extension, his family and the employees at the company, like, I don't know. It just seems like everyone's treating it as like this joke that they can make, and they're not going to get called out on it because they're in the clear. And in reality, I just feel kind of bad. And this is coming from me. I'm not a good person, Caitlin.
That's not true.
Well,
but no, that's not true at all. But I do think that it's just, they were probably, I've always looked at this and thought they probably went together and kept it, relatively PG for the first bit of the show. And then they had a bunch to drink. That's what I think happened, that they had a bunch to drink and they got carried away and their secret relationship started to feel a lot less secret. And yeah, I'm not overly sympathetic to either of them. I just feel sympathetic to the people in their lives who are going to be negatively impacted by this and had nothing to do with it. And what does scratch my brain a little bit is the feeling that, okay, now I can be done with this distraction. Like I'll give this story 4 days of caring and thinking like, oh my God. But after that is when it expires for me. And I do go on to thinking and being focused on other things that are more important.
But it's been 10 days and it's not going away.
It's too long. I will say that roundly. Like we can smash the gavel on that. I decree that it has been way too long. I'm not interested in the story anymore unless something else wild happens because the company's acknowledged it. He has stepped down as CEO. The interim CEO has released a statement. She is on leave now. Like it's all, everything, the dust has settled. So like now let everyone else go and deal with it. But again, you really don't want to be the main character of the internet.
No.
because you don't know what's going to happen, and it's never good. It's never good to be famous in this way.
Do you remember, this is such an awful story, I feel like I shouldn't even cover it, but this woman, she flew on a work trip from somewhere in the US to somewhere in Africa.
Okay.
And she like tweeted before she got on the plane, like, going to Africa. I don't even remember what she said, but she's like, going to Africa, LOL, and then some like vaguely racist thing, or maybe very racist thing. And then while she was on the plane, and this is back in the day when planes didn't have internet, the whole internet started canceling her. And there was like a countdown to like when she finds out that she's lost her job, even though she was going on a work trip. This is like 7 or 8 years ago.
It was December of 2013.
Do you remember this?
I just looked it up. It was I remember the story vaguely, and it was actually a PR officer. So a U.S. public relations executive. And sometimes I think this is where the internet really grabs onto it, because this is a person who, for their job, should have known better. And this is the same way that the head of HR having an affair with the CEO is too on its nose for people to walk away from. I think if they both worked in different industries, it wouldn't have mattered as much. But yeah, so she said, and her name was Justine, she made a very, very highly insensitive tweet on her way to Africa, as you've outlined. And there was a reference, amongst other things included in the tweet, to AIDS. And it was brutal. It's so terrible. And then she apologized, saying words cannot express how sorry she is. She was ashamed for, quote, being insensitive about AIDS in Africa. And the hashtag that started going viral was, has Justine landed yet?
Yeah, I mean, she deserved it, but it, like, her life was ruined, and she was the main character of the internet, and for 6 months she couldn't leave the house, and like, I mean, she deserve it? Yeah, she deserved to lose her job, but like, it just, I don't know. The internet can be a wildly mean place.
Yeah.
So be careful out there. I guess. I mean, I was about to say it could happen to anybody, but I would hope you wouldn't tweet like that, Caitlin.
Well, it is a case of like, you know, you point one finger and 3 point back at you. Like, I don't like when society becomes super finger waggy, because we all make mistakes, and shouldn't you then be able to apologize for them, learn something, and move on without being completely tarred and feathered and ejected from society? Like, I do think that that's a fundamental part of being human, is making a mistake and owning it and moving on. So I'm happy to forgive anyone. Like, that's the other thing. If this astronomer CEO and his head of HR like ended up getting married in 2 years, like, I wouldn't care. I wouldn't care. Like, I would never be that attached to the story to care. And hopefully they do stay happy, and who knows how that looks. But like, I kind of do understand why the internet rakes people over the coals like this, because there's something about the fact that people do stuff and get away with it all the time that ticks off everyone. So everyone gets this little fake piece of justice by engaging online in these stories.
When you think of how many people live in like Western English-speaking countries that would be on like English Twitter for canceling, it's like, what, almost 1 billion people, like 750 million people. So on the one hand, it's awful, but the odds it'll happen to you, you're more likely to get in a plane crash or get stung by killer bees. So maybe we shouldn't worry so much.
Maybe we should worry more about killer bees.
I'm constantly worried about killer bees. I'm worried about someone unleashing killer bees on a plane, them going into the cockpit, and then the plane crashing because the killer bees stung both the captain and the first officer. That's a real fear, and that's more likely to happen to you than getting canceled on the internet. So at the end of the day, I'm really not that worried about this stuff. Also, I probably am not going to tweet anything racist, but, you know, it's just a cautionary tale, I guess.
Hashtag, has Justine landed yet?
Has she landed yet? She has. It was 12 years ago. Caitlin Green, check her out on the Jan Arden podcast. Caitlin, what a pleasure it was. Caitlin works in the shipping industry with lots of crates. I'm great at this job. Yeah.
Thanks, Cravid.
Cravid. Oh, there it is. Thank you, Caitlin. For young people, dating apps are out, but face-to-face flirting in. But Gen Z is having a tough time making that switch. Coming up next, we will explore why the digital generation is craving real connection in dating and what's getting in the way. That's right, meeting people in person without apps. Who'd have thought?
Want to be part of the last show with David Cooper? Call us and join the conversation. 1-888-505-6644.
Summer's here, bringing sunshine, road trips, beach days, and sweat. Without the right underwear, things get uncomfortable fast. That's where MeUndies comes in. Made with unbelievably soft, breathable, micromodal fabric, MeUndies helps you stay cool, even when the temperature's not. From briefs to boxers, cheeky cuts to bralettes, MeUndies has it all. To score sizzling summer deals like up to 50% off, go to MeUndies.com/Spotify and enter promo code Spotify.
taste the forbidden fruit of knowledge. The Last Show with David Cooper.
Young people are sick of dating apps, ditching them, but also struggling with real-life romance. Why is in-person dating making a comeback, and why does that make dating hard for the younger generation? I'm here with someone who's written on this topic. Her name is Dr. Treena Orchard. She is an associate professor and author in the School of Health Sciences at Western University in Ontario, Canada. Treena, welcome to the show.
It's great to be here.
So why do you think dating apps are starting to feel more like a chore than something fun for younger people? I thought dating apps were all the rage with young folks.
They were, but then they're not, because they are increasingly expensive. And a lot of young people are really not interested in the really performative, inauthentic way that many people behave on dating apps. And they're also not that effective. It can take so long to find one or two decent matches. And then people usually ghost or they catfish. So it's not a reliable source of making good connections.
It's that exhausting opening line. It's waiting for the response. It's picking the right photos, writing a witty caption on your profile. It's all exhausting, isn't it?
It's exhausting, and there's lots of transphobia, there's lots of misogyny. Dating apps, I think, have run their course, at least in this particular version, for sure, especially among younger people who are hungry for more in-person, authentic ways of making connection.
If dating apps have run their course, I'm sure a dating app company would hate me saying that. What's the alternative? What are we left with? And what are we left with a generation that kind of started their dating journey, entering out of, young age, high school or university in that digital world. And now they're going to something else. What is that something else? And is there turbulence found there?
Yes. So the something else is finding ways to locate third spaces for younger people. And that can be kind of challenging because a lot of younger people still live at home because of the skyrocketing housing prices and things like that. But third places are something that young people want as an alternative place to connect with people who are kind of like-minded. We've also got things like running clubs, sort of cute meets or meet cutes. And there are certain organizations that have emerged that cater specifically to hosting in-person events. So there are an emerging array of options, but the tension comes in when young people who are not used to dating or interacting in person, like Gen Xers or older generations are. So they want to do this in-person stuff, but they don't quite have a lot of the skills. And so they are retreating from dating even in these new spaces. So it's pretty complicated for them.
Let's talk about these skills you would need to meet someone in person, whether it's a speed dating, meetup, or it's just like a social club where you might ask someone out. Extrovert privilege, something you've written about. Explain that to me. Like, if I don't have extroversion as a personality trait, am I going to struggle with dating if I'm younger?
You might, but I think it's also important. I think those labels of introvert and extrovert, which are very binary, they get thrown around a lot. And I think sometimes people use them as a place to hide behind when they're afraid. You could be nervous or feel vulnerable to date. It doesn't mean you can't do it. And it doesn't mean you're necessarily an introvert for life. Right? And it's not only extroverts who get out there and date, because I'm kind of in the middle. I grew up painfully shy, but in my job, I have to talk in front of people. And in my dating life, I had to begin dating and start doing these new things on a dating app that was totally new to me. It was hard, but I did it.
So tell me about hookup spaces. Are those places where young people can go to? Is this just the modern day dating bar that we saw in the 60s and 70s? What are some of these in-person spaces that young people are going to?
Right. Well, we think of things like cafes, like parks, but there's also a recent story that I think almost 40% of Gen Zs polled, they would like a specific space at work for hookups or, in quotations, self-love on the job, which is pretty interesting.
What are you talking about? Like a private room here? What is this space like?
That's right.
Okay.
Well, this is a survey, right? So this is theoretical or abstract at this point, but they indicated that, if they're living with 5 people or if they're living at home, they might not have that many options in terms of spaces to be intimate with their partners or to engage in different things with just themselves. So that was kind of an interesting and really, really recent survey that emerged.
Are there any other surprising things about what young people are doing or what young people want when it comes to dating that isn't on the apps?
Yeah, I think one of the things, and it's a little bit sad in some ways, is that they don't want relationships at all. So we're also seeing a retreat from relationships altogether because people feel like they're going to get hurt. Invariably, somebody will cheat, or they'll just feel too vulnerable, or they have tremendous social anxiety and it's not going to work anyways. And so for a lot of them, they are just not focusing on intimate relationships, but they are doing more in terms of their friendships as well as their work on themselves. So there's a lot of moving parts in the relationship environment right now.
Would it be fair to say that young people are more interested in hooking up than they are in like having a significant other?
That was the case when dating apps first emerged and people were like going on a gangbusters and having hundreds of dates a year. That was sort of the golden age of hookup culture. And hookups still occur, but we know from a lot of research in the last 5 or 10 years that younger generations are having much less sex. And so the hookup culture isn't as pronounced as it used to be.
I have heard this, that Gen Z don't have as much sex as like the older generations. Is there truth to that?
Yes, there is. In part because they are quite involved in the digital landscape and the in-person stuff is difficult. Also, they're very knowledgeable of the risks involved with drinking and drugs, and campus culture can be pretty dark and misogynistic, frat culture, etc. So in some regards, there can be some fear and violence associated with sex. And a lot of people, especially, I'm most familiar with my students who I teach who are Gen Zs, they experience different kinds of trauma, in their early years, and that can really impact how they approach relationships as well as intimacy.
Well, there's the pandemic, right? This is a generation that was like inside for, depending on where they lived, anywhere from like a year and a half to 3 years. And that takes its toll on your socialization, and that can affect your dating life in years after that.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's a really important point that I think a lot of us don't remember or factor in a significant way. But you're absolutely right. It had a profound impact, and it continues to cascade and continues to impact young people as well as older generations.
Moving the conversation back a little bit towards in-person dating, speed dating, running clubs, daytime raves. What are some of these places young people are meeting others when they elect to not use apps and still look for people to date?
Well, I think some of the spaces that you just mentioned, bookstores, people love to read, Book Talk has blown up, and that's in large part because of young people, especially Gen Z. So book clubs, secondhand vintage shopping, cooking together, that's a huge thing. Sort of old school sports that are not that expensive, like bowling.
Please don't say pickleball. Please don't say pickleball.
I've never played the sport. I don't know about pickleball. I know I love bowling and I have my own bowling ball. So that's like a whole side thing.
If someone young were trying to build their in-person dating muscle, maybe they have that anxiety, maybe they aren't an extrovert, what's one thing they could do to just kind of help themselves with modern dating if they're struggling?
I think, one or two things is to kind of be kind to themselves and know that dating, whether you're swiping or you're doing in person or you're doing a combination, it's hard. And people are not always their best, and they might be nervous too, whether it's online or in person. So giving each other a little bit of grace is important, and trying not to be too in a hurry to make a connection. And, during the process, try to kind of reflect on, where you're at emotionally, right? And if you need to take a break, take a break. The apps will always be there. People will always be there to return to. So I think also being open in communication and what it is that you really want and staying true to that is important.
Check out Dr. Treena Orchard's book, Sticky, Sexy, Sad, Swipe Culture and the Darker Side of Dating Apps, available wherever books are sold. Treena is an associate professor and author in the School of Health Studies at Western University in Ontario, Canada. Treena, I've enjoyed the chat. Thanks for being on the show.
It was great. Thank you.
Coming up next, have you wanted to go into the future and give yourself advice? Well, you can do that today, and the future will be tomorrow. We'll give ourselves advice from yesterday today. It's confusing, but call in if you want to participate. The number 1-888-505-6644. That number coming up again right now. We'll be back in a minute.
Want to be part of the last show with David Cooper? Call us and join the conversation. 1-888-505-6644.
At Blinds.com, it's not just about window treatments. It's about you, your style, your space, your way. Whether you DIY or want the pros to handle it all, you'll have the confidence of knowing it's done right. From free expert design help to our 100% satisfaction guarantee, everything we do is made to fit your life and your windows. Because at Blinds.com, the only thing we treat better than windows is you. Visit Blinds.com now for up to 40% off site-wide, plus a professional measure at no cost. Rules and restrictions apply.
Advice for your tomorrow self from yesterday, or maybe from today for tomorrow. If you're confused, you're not alone. This is what happens on The Last Show with David Cooper and Tony Five.
Tony Five is here. The man, the legend, the myth, the person.
The hungry.
It
is quite late.
The sweaty.
Yeah.
Smelly.
The never proven guilty, David, I believe that's called. The innocent until proven guilty.
Have you never? I've been proven guilty of a traffic offense.
Have you?
It's weird when the judge says we find you guilty.
Did you have to go to court? We had a judge and stuff like that, right?
Yeah, I usually go to court when I get a traffic ticket because worst case, you just get convicted.
You get convicted? That sounds so horrific. Like here you get a fine. Like it comes in the post if you do like a minor traffic infection. Yeah.
Inflection.
Well, whatever. You say potato, I say orange. But what I'm saying is like it just comes in a post and then you send your driver's license and it gets endorsed. What happens over there, stateside?
Yeah, it depends where it's like every jurisdiction's different, but the cop writes you a ticket. You can either pay it or go to court. And I usually go to court and try to fight it. Try to bargain them down, try to say I didn't do it.
Wait. Stop. Rewind, selector. You try to negotiate with the judge.
Yeah. No, not the judge, the prosecutor. Yeah.
Okay.
You can't, there's no negotiating with the judge.
You're going to jail. No, I'm not. Death to you. No. Let us have community time.
No, in some places, the prosecutor's like, okay, we got you speeding 20 over.
Okay.
How about you agree to speeding 10 over? It's less of a ticket, less money, whatever. But you plead guilty.
Wait. That doesn't make sense. So you've been caught 20 over, so they know you've gone 20 over. You say...
But they have to prove it. They got to make a case. I get to plead my case. It wastes everyone's time if they have to,
Okay.
If they can just get a conviction that's for a lesser offense.
I didn't realize you could do that there.
It depends where.
But then aren't you paying for like the solicitor, like, I don't know, the litigator,
No, you represent yourself. You don't pay for... I mean, you can pay for a lawyer, but then you've turned like a $200 speeding ticket into like a $5,000 legal bill.
Yeah, this is what I'm just saying. It just didn't make sense to me. Okay.
No, like the old saying goes, anyone who's dumb enough to represent themselves has an idiot for a client.
Okay, I like it. Who's the client? 1 minute.
Yeah, you're your own client because when you represent yourself.
No, but you can't be because you're not qualified as a solicitor.
You're allowed to represent yourself if you're not a lawyer.
But you're not qualified as an attorney. How can you represent yourself? Wait, you just said anyone who's an attorney for themselves.
Just shut up, Tony. You understood it. Anyway, long story short, this is how it worked where I grew up. I grew up in Toronto, and then I moved to San Francisco. I'm like, well, this is how it works. So I showed up at the court, and I went straight to the prosecutor before we were in session. And I'm like, hey, you caught me going 20 over. Can you bargain me down? And the prosecutor's like, what? No.
Whoa. Exactly. And I gone, what are you talking about? Let's do you for 30 over.
He was like, why are you talking to me? Like, get the away from me.
You're so polite in Canada and they're so angry in America, right?
Yeah. Anyway, long story short, on that one, the cop didn't show. And so they had no evidence, so they dismissed the case. If I hadn't showed up in court, then I would have been convicted like on default,
Oh, because he didn't show up?
Yeah.
That's I've heard of that before, and obviously it's just too busy. They can't be bothered, right? So how many speeding tickets must that cop have caught that month? And he's like, well, what's the point? I get it. And so they're assuming and they're hoping you don't contest it, go down to court, obviously trying to bribe the judge or whatever you were trying to do. You won because of default because you turned up.
You've turned a $100 fine into like 10 years in prison if you try to bribe the judge. But It's anyway, so where I lived in San Francisco, it did not work that way. If you tried to talk to a prosecutor to plead your ticket down, they would be like, get away from me, you insane person. There's no way we're doing that. What are you talking about? But back home where I grew up, you could go to the prosecutor. They'd come 15 minutes early. They'd be like, what's your ticket? I'd be like 20 over. They're like, okay, how about 10? You'd say, sure. You'd get up there. The judge would be like, blah, 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 blah. The prosecutor would say, David's ready to plead guilty to a lesser offense. How do you plead? You say guilty and then you get charged less money.
I'm learning so much about you, about Canada, about America.
There you go. It's advice from your yesterday self for tomorrow today. Let's get back on track here. Tony, you recorded some advice for yourself yesterday to be played today.
Correct.
Let's hear what that was.
Wonderful. Good morning, dear David. I am walking about in London town today. As you can hear, the sights and sounds of good old Londoners speaking various different languages. My thought for today, for tomorrow, and it's the advice that I'm going to give myself tomorrow that I'm doing today, is not to say yes to everything. I think I'm a bit of a yes man. I've just realised that. And I hadn't realised that. I thought it for a while. And I'm going to start putting myself first a little bit. So that's my plan of action. Okay, baby. Have a good one. Over to you.
No, Tony. No. See what I did there?
Maybe.
No, you were.
You tried to catch me out there, didn't you,
Yeah,
you
I
cheeky
did.
little monkey?
I did. You do say yes to too much. You stretch yourself too thin.
I do.
No, you're supposed to say, no, I don't.
Oh, no, I don't. Yeah, you got... Why I oughta get you common varmint. No, you're right. I tend to just say yes. It's kind of my default answer. I like to help people. I like to do things. I feel better for it. I don't know whether it's altruistic or whether I'm just naturally predisposed. My mum's like that. And yeah, I guess, you're right. I stretch too thin and then I kind of start worrying, oh my God. And I try not to let people down. Whereas actually, it's okay to let people down. It's okay. We had a conversation just now about a friend who had overstepped the mark, but you're still friends. And yeah, for me, just listening to it, I found it quite uncomfortable because
a friend charged me too much money for something, Yeah, that's the story, yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, it was a sexual favor, David, but you went in thinking it was free and they wanted to charge you, right?
Not quite the story, but yes, go on.
So, I find conflict a little bit difficult, which is strange because in my sort of working life, I'm able to tell people yes, no, definitely no, or definitely yes. But when it comes to friendship groups, I maybe see friendships as such a personal thing, relationships as such a personal thing, and maybe work as a kind of like there's a separation. But I think if I can blend the two, it would have been better.
Yep. You got to say no to people. And then it makes when you say yes to them so much more special. Next time you have to say no to someone, Tony, just think the next time they ask me for something, I might say yes, and it'll be all that more impactful.
That's wonderful, David. That psychology Groupon you took last week is really paying dividends, isn't it?
It certainly is. Here's my advice that I recorded just before I went to bed. I don't even remember what it said.
David, it's you yesterday, which is today for me, but you're also me tomorrow. Here's your advice. Get some sleep, buddy. You are exhausted. What the F is wrong with you? Sleep more. That's it. Simple. From yesterday. I hope you did that today, which is tomorrow.
I was pretty tired.
Wow, you sound ruined. That's not really advice, like taking like one of the constant tenets of life, like sleep, eat, breathe. But yeah, I get it.
It was my advice for 5 minutes for now because I went to bed immediately after I recorded it.
Oh, God. Were you that tired? You traveled and stuff like that, hadn't you? So, yeah, that's fair enough.
Yeah, I traveled to be here for a family member's birthday party.
Oh, we need to talk about that at some stage. I love the idea that you've gone for your father's 85th birthday.
He's a little younger than that, but not by much.
84?
76.
Yeah, same.
Well,
God, just listening to you talk like that has brought the whole energy of the show down. It's like people just want to fall asleep, whereas I was like pumping it. That's fine, whatever.
Yeah, you're like up and about on the streets of London. If you want to give yourself advice from the past to your future, call, leave a message, or maybe we'll pick up the number 1-888-505-6644. Record that advice, and then we'll pick up with you in the future. Tony, did you want to say something?
No!
You made a weird hand gesture.
Yeah, because you'd just gone over 0.
Oh, yeah, that's okay. Don't. All right. I see the clock. Tony, thank you.
No.
Very good.
No.
Yes, that is Tony 5, foreign correspondent in London, England. After the break, a world-traveling family with no fixed address on a budget that actually works. How could they and how could you pull it off without being rich? It's why you should travel the world and how to do it on a budget. Seriously, I promise. Not just for rich people, on the other side of the break.
Want to be part of the last show with David Cooper? Call us and join the conversation. 1-888-505-6644.
In the 70s, 4 young women were found dead. For nearly 50 years, their cases went cold. I'm Nancy Hixt, a senior crime reporter for Global News. In the season finale of Crime Beat, I share how investigators uncovered shocking evidence of a serial killer and hear exclusive interviews with the killer's family. Listen to the full season of Crime Beat early and ad-free on Amazon Music by asking Alexa to play the podcast Crime Beat.
Exploring both interstellar and interpersonal space-time continuums. The Last Show with David Cooper.
I travel full-time with my wife and kids. We're not rich, but we make it work. That's the headline. And now we are going to dive into how one family ditched the 9-to-5, mastered budgeting travel on the cheap, and made the world their living room. I am here with travel content creator Anthony St. Clair. Anthony, welcome to the show.
Ohio gozaimasu from Osaka, Japan, David. It is such a joy to talk with you today.
Oh, you're so nice. Let's start at the beginning. Was it a kind of unhinged optimism or caffeine-fueled moment that led you to the decision to sell like all of your stuff and travel the world with your family?
I must confess that I have been a long-time wanderer. When I was a kid, we had a fair bit of travel in my family, like New York, DC. I grew up in Virginia, so a lot of the region. When I was in college, I got to do a semester exchange program at Edinburgh, Scotland, and that completely changed my life.
You never came back in some sense.
In some sense, actually, I moved from Scotland to Oregon in my early 20s, so all the way across the country from where I'd grown up. But I had traveled previously in my younger adulthood to various parts of South and Southeast Asia. When my wife and I started dating in 2005, as we got serious, we would talk about where I traveled, talk about raising a family. We always wanted to take them traveling for at least a year because traveling meant so much to us. But also, every family has their own way of preparing their kids for the world. That can be civic work, that can be religion, that can be sports. There's so many ways to come at it. Travel was our thing. We also saw not just, hey, let's travel with our kids while they're kids and we have the chance because we'll never get that time back.
Sure.
But let's also give them some sense of the broader world. It helps them understand where they come from better, and it helps them understand the world outside their home country better. So there's also a little of this, deeper game of wanting them to have experience in different cultures and different countries. We want them to know what it feels like to look different, to not know the language, to have to learn everything from how to navigate the local currency, to figure out how to use the bus. And all those things, they had big roots deep when we were in Oregon in the earlier years of their life. And now they also have big, strong wings because we want them to see that not only do they know where they come from, but they know that they can go to different places and find opportunity and community and connection. And it's out there anywhere they go.
Of all the parenting techniques that I have discussed on the show over the years, I'm thinking yours, if every parent were like you, the world would be a much more calm, happier, better place. I'm not sure I'll have kids. I'm just saying I'm not sure for my mother's sake. I'm not having kids, but if I did, you're doing something right, and I would do it like you. The experience of travel, though, for me, it's for those who don't do it a lot, it's not really about the highs. It's about experiencing the highs and lows elsewhere, those extremes, for me, that makes travel so fun. Like I was recently in Spain. We had all our luggage stolen.
Oh, no.
And people asked me how the trip, was. And I'm like, well, yeah, it was awful. But you know what? Going to the consulate, getting a new passport, like my girlfriend and I were bickering at the beginning of the trip. As soon as we got our luggage stolen, the bickering ended and we like bound together and like solved a crisis together. You know, it's really that wealth of experience you get. And I don't know if you agree with that. What is it about travel that you love so much?
I love being in different places and slowing down. There are so many things I love about the US and that I love about being an American. I do wish that my home culture had a better sense of when to shift down into a lower gear and be okay with that.
I think a lot of people wish that.
And I find that when we travel, and our travels, we've traveled some in Western Europe, we've traveled in Morocco and Northwestern Africa. We especially enjoy being in Asia. Like we have been actually in Asia now since October 2004. And we've been traveling, it'll be full-time traveling for 3 years as of August of 2025. And over, the slower pace of life, the not overscheduling has made such a difference in our family bond, mental health, physical health. And I love that go get 'em spirit that I grew up around and that I do think has a good place in the heart. It's something that I do very much appreciate from a lot of American culture. I do like balancing that with going, hey, you know what? It's okay sometimes to not do something in the day, or with travel, especially since for so much of us that time can be so limited, being able to say, hey, you know what? We're going to do these couple things today. These are our main priorities. If we finish this trip and haven't done this 1, 2, 3, maybe 4 or 5 things, we will feel this trip didn't live up to what we hoped. Our sense is if you set those priorities based on what matters to you, everything else is optional. If you went out that day and all you wanted to do was go to a cooking class in Osaka and learn how to make takoyaki and okonomiyaki, 2 iconic dishes with octopus fritters and cabbage fritters that I better stop talking about because it's making me hungry, and that's all you did. And then you went like us and said, okay, now I'm going to go to 7-Eleven and get an awesome ice cream bar with chocolate vanilla ice cream and a waffle. And I'm going to watch One Piece with my kids for a while. Boom.
That's a day.
That's a day. And then if there are days where it does matter to really pack it out, because there's some big stuff you really want to hit it, do it. But then if the next day all you want to do is chill by the pool, take the kids to the park, do nothing more than maybe order in something that sounded tasty and you hadn't tried yet, cool. It is your trip and nobody else's. It's not the magazines. It's not the influencers. Nobody else's but yours. Unless, they're footing the bill. If they're footing the bill, sure, they can have a little more say. Right. It's your time. It's your money. And it should reflect your interest. Like, in Japan, we have now visited here, this is the 4th time. I've never gone to a tea ceremony. I have gone to 2 Oryx Buffaloes games, baseball games with my family. I'm not even a huge baseball fan, but going to an Oryx Buffaloes game here in Osaka is a lot of fun.
Sure.
So you build the trip around what matters to you, and then you're less inclined to overschedule. You're less inclined to overspend. You're a little more intentional, and you can just gear down a little. And there's a lot to be said for that.
Let's talk a little bit about overspending. I feel like when I travel, it's always that's why I don't do it very often. It's always so expensive. You've been traveling for a long time, a lot, on a budget. How do you do it?
A couple of things that help us is, one, we generally prioritize longer stays. Now, part of that is because this is our lifestyle. We have a little more flexibility there. But for someone who can work remotely, or if they have more time in the summers, when you can do, for example, an Airbnb, there's often price breaks at things like 14 days, 28 days, or 30 nights, things like that. That is a way we've had stays where it costs the same to stay for a month as it would have cost for 2 weeks. And then 2, with something like a rental, you often have a kitchen. Having the option to cook, to have leftovers in the fridge, can make it so much more affordable.
All right, longer stays and making food in that place where you're staying. But what if you can't get a long amount of time off? Is there other ways to save money?
I think one of the biggest things is when you underschedule, you're less likely to overspend.
Yeah.
So when you build that trip around your priorities, and go as big on your priorities as you feel is appropriate. That's the stuff that matters. That's the stuff you're going to be talking about 20 years later. Do that and do whatever is right in terms of the spend. And the other stuff, it's okay. You want to go out to the 5-star restaurant one night? That's cool. Go down to the 7-Eleven and grab the fried chicken out of the hot case the next day. It is all good. And that fried chicken is really all good.
You can find Anthony at learnersandmakers.com. Anthony St. Clair is a travel content creator. Anthony, thanks for talking to me today. I've enjoyed the chat.
Great to talk with you, David.
Well, that's the show. Thank you for tuning in. Don't forget the last show, available as a podcast. Head to www.lastshow.pizza. That's lastshow.pizza, not .com. Don't ask me why we chose pizza. I don't have a good answer. And at that website, you can find details about the podcast, including how to subscribe. All right, that's it. I'm David Cooper. This is the first show. Well, it's not actually, but you know.
Canada is best known for politeness, maple syrup, and hockey, but beneath the surface lies something far darker. I'm Mike Brown, and along with my co-host Matthew Stockton, we uncover the sinister side of Canada on the award-winning true crime podcast, Dark Poutine. Each Monday, we dive into chilling criminal cases, eerie historical events, strange disappearances, and spine-tingling tales of the paranormal, all with a uniquely Canadian twist. With over 300 episodes to binge for free, our stories reach far beyond Canada's borders, drawing in curious minds from around the world. If you're drawn to the dark, the mysterious, and the downright weird, it's time to join us. To explore the shadowy side of the True North, search for Dark Poutine, that's Poutine, on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, or wherever you're listening right now.